Okay, so for the secant of theta, it's really similar to the cosecant of theta, so I'm not going to go through creating the entire graph from the unit circle. Instead, we're just going to use this strategy that I showed you guys by graphing the parent function, right? So secant is the reciprocal of cosine, right? So I'm going to start with graphing cosine. Cosine we know starts at 1, then goes to 0, then to -1, then back to 0, and then back to 1. So it's going to get this shape will be your cosine. Okay, so the exact same rules are going to apply to the secant that apply to the cosecant. Wherever you see a 0, wherever the graph is 0 or hits the x-axis, we're going to draw an asymptote through that, right? And we know that we're going to have an asymptote there because whenever you flip 0, it becomes undefined. So the only difference with the sine and cosine is going to be the position of where those asymptotes are. All right, so if you compare this to sine, you'll be able to notice that the asymptotes are in different places. So now the next part of it is once we have the asymptotes, is we need to find the peaks, right? Where the highest, where the lowest point. So we see we have a highest point here, we have a low point there, and then we have a highest point here. So remember, wherever we see those, we're going to draw our parabolas, right? So we're going to have one full parabola drawn here. It's going down since the point is negative, right? Since it's on its way down. The other two peaks are going to be going up. So we're only drawing one period, though. So this is going to be kind of strange, right? So for cosine, this would create a parabola, right? So 1/2 there. But since we're only looking at one period, I actually don't care about the other half right here. Right? I actually don't care about this half. So I'm actually just going to erase this half right here. And then same thing with the other one, right? Here's our parabola. It's going here, but I don't care about this half because we're only looking at just one period up to 2 pi. And there we go. That's your secant of theta. Let's go ahead and let's get a little bit of practice in and let's draw it one more time. All right, so with secant of theta, I want to go ahead and graph this. We're going to start with graphing our cosine. So remember, our cosine starts at 1, then to 0, then goes to -1 to 0, and then back to 2 pi. So it'll look something like this. All right, and then wherever we see a 0, we know we're going to have an asymptote, right? Here's a 0, asymptote, asymptote, and then asymptote, asymptote, wherever it hits 0. And then wherever we see our peaks, we're just going to draw our parabola. So I see a peak here, draw a parabola. I see a peak here, we're going to draw a parabola. I don't need the other half, though. We can just dot it if you want, but we don't really need it. And then here's our other parabola. We don't need the other half. We can dot it or whatever, but it's not really a part of the graph. And there's our secant of theta. That's all it takes to graph it, right? Not too bad. All right, then the last thing we need to do here is we need to identify all the features of my secant theta graph. So it's going to be really similar to cosecant. Again, just values are going to be slightly different. So let's graph this, right? So lots of practice, right? The more we graph this out, the better we're gonna, the better we're gonna be when we have to apply transformations and period changes and all those things to these graphs, right? So let's start with our. What if I just draw a straight line? And then just come through with the eraser and make it dashed, right? Do that. There we go. So, it's not perfect, but so there's our asymptotes. There's our cosine with the asymptotes. Now we need to find the peaks. Wherever there's a peak, we're going to draw our parabola. Wherever there's a peak, draw our parabolas. Whoops, those last two came out really messy. Let me do those over really quick. Ooh, it's just a weird angle for me. There we go. And there we go. Okay, perfect, all done. Now let's go ahead and identify our domain. So our domain are going to be what are the possible x values. So with this case, we have 3 pieces. All right, I'm going to do this all in interval notation because it's a lot easier to write in interval notation. So for the domain, we're going to go from 0 to pi over 2. Union, then I'm going to go from pi over 2 all the way to 3 pi over 2. And then union, and then the last little piece is from 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi. Then 3 pi over 2 all the way to 2 pi. And done. All right, that's our domain. So, and again, this is only for one period, right? For one period. I'm talking about just from here. Right, this is a 1 period. From just here to here. Okay, again, this is going to continue forever to the right and forever to the left. Okay, but I'm only looking at 1 period. All right, for the range here, so the range is going to be just like it was for the cosecant, right? Notice how everything is above or below 1, right? Here's 1, everything's above it, or everything's below -1. So we know that our range is going to be it's going to be from -infinity to -1, right? Coming from -infinity down here all the way to -1. And then union, then it's going to go from 1 all the way to positive infinity. Right, from 1 and then all the way to positive infinity. Okay, amplitude, just like cosecant, still going to be 1. My period is going to be 2 pi. X-intercepts, we better not have any, because they should turn into asymptotes. And our y-intercept, we are going to have a y-intercept, right? Our y-intercept is going to be right at 1. So 0, 1, right? We have our y-intercept right. Let me get my purple color right there. Right, perfect. Intervals of increase and decrease. So again, where is it increasing? Let's highlight it in blue, all the parts that are increasing. So this is increasing, right? This is increasing from left to right, and that's about it. So we can say from 0 to pi over 2 it's increasing, and then also from pi over 2 to pi it's increasing. Then for decreasing, let's go ahead and highlight everything decreasing in, let's do this like light blue, right? So this is decreasing, and then this is decreasing as well. So we've got from pi all the way to 3 pi over 2, and then from 3 pi over 2 all the way to 2 pi. Done. All right, so that is everything you need to know for this week's lesson. So go ahead and go through the videos. You are going to have to answer some embedded questions, so if you need to rewatch the videos, go ahead and do that. And that's pretty much it. So have a great week, guys. Email me if you have any questions. Let me know how you guys are doing. All right, talk to you later, guys.